Hey there, I'm Juan Aguirre, and today I'm going to be working on the sign up form challenge. So let's get started. Okay, so here is the challenge. I have updated this paragraph to have a better a better list. And let's start the server. npm dev. Okay, so we should have the app here. Cool. So build a user sign-up form in React with the following features. One, an email and a password input. Okay, so this will be main. And here we will add the form tag. So let's add the two inputs and each input needs a label. So label your email and input. Okay, so HTML4 email. This is to link the label for the with the input type. Here we can use the type email and we get some browser validations, but let's go with manual validations. So type text, ID, email, name, email. Okay, and now we copy this and use password. Password. Okay, we need a button too. Button, create your account. Button type submit, and we need the on submit on the form. On submit, handle on submit. And now we're going to create the on submit function. Function handle on submit. This receive an event. So event dot prevent default to avoid the reloading the page. So let's see what we have. Your email, your password. Okay. Let's add some CSS to have a better UI. So for class name, class name form. Okay. This is an Next.js app, so the style should go here. And this is global, so the main should have the class sign up form. Sign up. Cool. So we have sign up and inside dot form display flex direction column. I forgot to start a timer. Um, Flex direction column and some gap px. Okay, cool. Now it's vertical, but it's using all the width. So let's limit the width 50%. Cool. So now we have to control the input values. Um, we can use a control or an uncontrolled state for real applications. it's better to use a control form. So let's implement a form state with a simple use state. So const form set form equal to use state, um, and we need the default states, email and password. Cool. We need an unchange to set the form values. So function handle on change. Um, we need to set the form. So set form. Um, ah, as the handle on change will be on the here on this on change. So let's connect it. On change handle on change. Um, and the handle on change will receive an event too as we can set the ID and the name on the input, and we can destructure them from the event. So const name and value from e dot target. Okay, so we can set the the state here. We can get the prep value. So we copy the prep, and to use a dynamic name, we do this brackets name and value. Cool. With this, we should get the input states, and we should to check it. We can add the console log here. Const email password from form and console log email password. Let's see what we have. Create account. Cool. It's here. Okay, so we have an email and a password input with their state, with their values. So let's go to point two, validate the email. Emailed must have an @ sign, and the domain sign must include a dot. Okay. Um, we can do a validate email function validate email, and it will be receive an email, um, and it will have uh, an errors array. So we we we, we will be validating the email, and if we have an error, we push it to the array and return is valid false and the errors. And if we don't have errors, we return validate true, and the empty array. So if all it's okay, return is valid true and the errors. And let's go with the validations. So if there is no email, um, errors push email cannot be empty, and return is valid false errors. Okay, so now here comes errors. We have to destructure the errors. Validate email. Cool. Um, and we have to set the errors in a state to show them here. So we need another use state. Const errors set errors use state, and it's an empty array. So now we have to set the errors. Set errors. Um, but we have to do some validations because I don't like how it looks these errors because I'm going to do the same with the password. So we'll have validate password. Um, and we can have three errors, three const of errors. So we can rename it email errors. And now let's map them. Const all errors equal to a copy of email errors. And if we have if all errors dot length greater than 0, I mean we have an error. We set errors, we set all errors, and we return because we don't want to continue with the unsubmit. So let's see what happened with empty password. Um, we are submitting. We have to map the errors. Um, okay, so here um, errors dot length greater than 0. Errors map. Um, we have the error, and we can return a simple div with a message. Um, error. And we need the key here. Key E. Now should we work? Yeah, email cannot be empty. Okay, let's add some styles to this. Class name error. So on globals for dot error color red. Cool. Email cannot be empty. Perfect. So now let's copy these conditions. Um, Here. So email must have an @ sign and the domain site must include a dot. Okay, let's go with the outside. The structure of an email is that we have a local part, the @ and the domain. So first we have to validate that it has an @ So const has @ equal to email dot includes @ sign. So if has @ if doesn't has @ here dot push email must have an at sign. I have an at. Return is valid false and errors. So let's see. If I click one, enter one, email must have an at. But this is not totally correct because with this is working. Um, we have this error because we have to clear the errors on the unchanged. Um, Set errors empty. Cool. So um, perfect. Create your account and it's working. Nice. So let's go with the second part about the domain. Um, um, uh, I said an email has three parts. We can implement a regex to validate that it has an ad, and before the ad has a valid local part, and after the ad has a valid domain. But we just need to validate that the domain site must include the dot, so we can do an splice. Um, so what we can do is this const. We will have the local and the domain part. Email dot slice by add. So if we don't have local, uh, errors push email should have a valid local part before add. Nice. And return is valid false. And the same with domain. Domain, domain. Email should have a valid domain part after add. Okay, so email must have an ad. We add it. Um, why is passing? Let's restart. Uh, email must have an ad. Now we have the ad. Because it's not slice, it's split. Yeah. Email should have a valid domain part after dot after add. So we add it's working, and if we delete it, email should have a valid local part before add. Okay. Okay. And now the domain sign must include a dot. So no, here no. Const is valid domain equal to domain dot includes a dot. So if is valid domain, we can copy this email email domain should 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 be valid. Yeah, should be valid to don't explain too much, um, with this, I mean, if we submit this, we won't get the error, um, and it's not a valid domain. We should implement a regex that validate that the domain has um, a dot sign. Before the sign has at least one character, and before, no, after the dot, it has valid characters, and at least they are two. Um, but this is working. Um, let's go with the password validation. Um, we can extract this function outside the component. Cool. And let's start with the validate password. So validate password, password errors, and we can set them here. Password errors. So function validate password. We have a password. Cool. So const errors, an empty array. And let's start. If we don't have the password, um, errors push, um, password cannot be empty, and is valid false, and the errors. And we need to return the happy path. Return is valid the true errors. Let's see. Yeah, password cannot be empty. And let's copy the conditions. So okay, we have three conditions. At least one special character, one number, and be at least 8 characters. So let's start with the at least 8 characters. Const min min chars equal to 8. So if password dot length less than min chars, oops, um, here we can add a custom message. Password would password must have at least, and we add the min here, min characters. So let's see. Password cannot be empty, and password must have at least 8 characters. Nice. Now, at least one number. Okay. Here we can use a regex. Const has number, and you will have a digit from 0 to 9, and at least should be 1. So dot test password, um, if has number is false, errors dot push, password must have at least one number, return is valid false errors. So we can add a lot of letters and password must have at least one number. Cool. And now let's add the custom message for the special chars. Um, const special chars, and we can put here all the special chars that we allowed and then create the regex. This const is to show what chars we need. Um, we can use this curly braces and, and these another ones. So const has special char will be regex 2, and we can copy this and at least one. So dot test and password. So if has special char is false, um, we can copy this. Password must have at least one special character. And here special chars. And let's see. Password must have at least one special character. With this should pass. Cool. Well, we have covered the email validation and the password validation. Um, let's extract the function outside the component too. Um, and now we have to handle the submission request handling. Okay. In Mate first. Um, okay. If we don't have errors, we can trigger the API. And for this, we can use a try catch. And we need the loading state because here loading true. Finally, where we put loading false. Call API and success state. And here, oops, we need an error state. Okay, so with this try catch, we can handle the API triggering. Um, so we use API data and return success and error. Okay, so um, const loading set loading just state false. So set loading true, and at the end set loading false. Okay. We can add some feedback here for the loading state. So loading, creating account, and create your account. If we can disable the button too, disable when loading, and we can disable the inputs too. Um, so let's see. Um, Password. Hmm. Why didn't change? Loading, creating account. Set loading true. Set loading false. Ah, because we are not calling the API. Um, okay, this is a promise. So we need to use async await. So const data await API, and we pass the email and the password. Um, this has to be async. So now let's see if it changed. Cool. Creating account, and we can add some styles. Okay. Um, the button. Okay. Class name button. Button. Background color. Um, chocolate. um, border 1px solid chocolate. Border radius, 4px. Um, button disable. Um, opacity 0.5. Cursor not allowed. And here we need cursor pointer. Okay, the error can be bold, so font weight bold, and cool. And the button too. Font weight bold, font weight bold, and color white. Create your account, creating account, cool. Error password must have at least one special character. Okay. Um, we need feedback for success, and for an error. So the API returns success. So success, and we have to set success. So const success set success equal to use state. Um, the API returns an string, so this will be an empty string. So if success set success, and if we have an error, if error, we set the error. Um, we set the error. And we have to show the success. So if success dot length greater than 0, um, deep with the success message, and this need a class name too, class name. Success. I will delete the photo bold here because it didn't look like I expect. And we have success color green. So let's see. Email cannot be empty, password cannot be empty. Um, Password one, creating account, and your account has been successfully created. Cool. Well, that's all. It's taking me around 35 minutes because my timer is on 31. Um, and closing up, um, we can do a lot of improvements here. Um, we can disable the button. We can create a disable cons where if it's loading, it's true and the input values are empty, we cannot submit. What else? Here can be a service function, and also we can create a custom hook. Use sign up where we put all these four states. So the sign up component just keep the UI and the logic is handled on the hook. Um, and well, here we can add an object where we can store the emails with the password and verify that if the email already exists, we return the error and we show the feedback. Okay, I expect you enjoy the video. Thanks for watching.